Life sometimes hits you so hard that it feels like you can't breathe anymore. I never thought I'd find myself in such a situation after all these years of marriage. But here I am, trying to cope with the pain of finding out my husband cheated on me with a girl he met at the bar where he works. This discovery hit me like a punch to the gut, leaving me feeling like the ground had been ripped out from under me, and I haven't been able to regain my balance since. Last month was supposed to be special. My husband and I planned a trip to celebrate our oldest son's 9th birthday. The whole family was looking forward to the getaway, and I meticulously planned every detail. I wanted it to be a memorable moment for our boys and for us. My husband and I had been deeply immersed in our daily routines, juggling kids, work, and the house, and this celebration seemed like the perfect opportunity to not only make our sons happy, but to reconnect as a family. I went all out to make this trip special. I booked the hotel, planned fun activities, and thought through each day. It wasn't just a family vacation. It was my effort to rekindle the connection between us, to bring some joy and warmth back into our increasingly monotonous lives. After all, after so many years of marriage and raising 2 kids, relationships need effort to keep the spark alive. But little did I know, instead of drawing closer, my husband was using this time to distance himself even more. We spent the days with our boys, enjoying their laughter and happiness, but I had no idea that for him, this trip meant something entirely different. During the trip, I noticed one odd thing that struck me as unusual at the time. My husband said he planned to stay one extra night after I took the kids home, supposedly to relax after all the child-centered activities. I was surprised but didn't object. Maybe he genuinely needed some time to unwind. Little did I know that this extra day was hiding something far more significant. Later, on an ordinary day when I had returned to our everyday life, I stumbled upon messages. I hadn't been looking for them, wasn't checking his phone out of suspicion. It was just that one day, his phone was nearby and I saw a notification, a short message from her. Instinct kicked in and I opened their conversation. What I saw changed my life forever. It turned out that during that extra night he stayed, he invited her to the hotel. This was the moment everything shifted, when he told her he was attracted to her and had feelings for her. That night marked the beginning of their physical relationship, and from that point on, our marriage was never the same. Discovering this felt like a betrayal on every level, as a wife, a mother, and a woman. Later, after speaking with her, I found out more details. This wasn't just a fleeting fling. It was something deeper, something that involved not just physical attraction but also emotional connection. He told her that he liked her, that he had feelings for her. Their messages were filled with words of tenderness and affection that tore me apart inside. These were things he had never said to me in all our years of marriage. Sweet, passionate confessions I had never heard from him. I couldn't believe that the man I had lived with for so many years could talk to another woman like that. I couldn't believe that the father of our 2 children could so easily betray me and our future together. They spoke of love. Those messages, filled with tenderness and attachment, simply destroyed me. I felt like not only my marriage but everything I thought I knew about him and myself was crumbling before my eyes. The most painful part of all of this was realizing that he had never spoken to me that way. I had never been that woman for him. I had never been his source of passion or inspiration, not the one he was willing to do anything for. This knowledge ripped me apart. We've been together for many years, and we have 2 sons, ages 7 and 9. We built a life, raised our kids, and shared every day together. I thought that, like any couple, we had our challenges, that the routine problems were normal, that every marriage goes through periods of fatigue and emotional distance. But I never expected him to find comfort in another woman instead of trying to rebuild our relationship. When I found out the truth, my emotions were mixed. The pain of betrayal was overwhelming, but despite it, I was willing to try. For the sake of our family, for the kids, I was ready to fight for our marriage. I offered to try to fix things. I thought we could go to counseling, talk about what had happened, and try to find a way forward. But with each passing day, it became clearer that he wasn't willing to let her go. Even if he did decide to end things with her, something deep inside me told me that I could never be the woman he truly wanted to love again. I saw it in his eyes, in his behavior, in how much he had changed. Even if he chose to stay for the sake of the children, I knew it would only be a shadow of what our marriage once was. I would always live with the feeling that his heart belonged to someone else. My attempt to keep our family together was sincere. I wanted our children to grow up in a whole family, with both a mother and a father who loved them. But I also knew that trying to hold on to someone who was already emotionally and physically with someone else was pointless. No matter how hard I tried, he had already chosen her, and nothing could change that. One evening, we sat down to talk. I tried to be open, speaking about my feelings, about how hurt I was, about how much I wanted us to try and rebuild our life together. But in his responses, I felt a coldness. He said it was difficult for him, that he wasn't sure what he wanted. But between the lines, I read one thing: he wasn't ready to come back to me. His mind was on her, the woman with whom he now shared his dreams. I couldn't help but ask myself, how can you continue living with someone who no longer sees in you the person they once loved? I felt utterly destroyed. Every time I looked at our kids, I thought about how they were losing the family we had tried to give them. But how do you fight for something that's already broken? Weeks have passed, and I'm still trying to process everything that has happened. I can't shake the pain and disappointment, and honestly, I'm not sure I ever will. My husband is still living in the house, and we continue to play the roles of mother and father for our children, but between us, there's nothing but emptiness. I don't feel love, I don't feel desired, and that feeling is tearing me apart inside. Our children don't know anything yet. They continue to live their normal lives, and I'm trying my best to keep them from noticing the changes between us. But how long can I keep up this facade? How long before they start asking questions? My husband and I aren't fighting, we're not having loud arguments, but the icy distance is palpable even in our silence. Every time he leaves the house, I wonder if he's going to see her. Every message or phone call fills me with suspicion. I'm living in constant anxiety, which is eating me alive. There's no peace in this, and I know that living like this is impossible, but I don't know what to do next. Maybe one day I'll make the decision to end this marriage. Maybe we'll try to preserve at least the illusion of a family for the sake of the children. But whatever I choose, one thing I already know for certain: our lives will never be the same again. We've already lost what we once had, and even if something remains, it will only be a faint shadow of what I once thought was real love.